Peace and love, y'all. It's your girl, Divine Priestess, tapping back in with y'all with more messages from Spirit. And you already know what time it is. We're going to go ahead and clear this space and clear this energy. So to the Most High, the creator of all, God, Spirit, universe, angels, ancestors, spirit guides, a divine white light. Thank you so much for your divine protection. Thank you so much for covering us with protecting us from any low vibrational demon, deity, entity, evil eye, hexes, hoodoo, voodoo, black magic, or curses, and so mote it be. Thank you so much for your divine guidance, okay? So peace and love, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. What's up, everybody knows EJ? What's up, JLCZ? Thank y'all so much for joining the live. Y'all, we are popping our shit today, okay? Because at the end of the day, baby, I do not mind being the villain in your little story, baby, because guess what? A lot of these niggas, a lot of these bitches be a clown in mine, okay? So it's like, at the end of the day, if you're not embracing your truth and you care too much about what people think and you're not willing to live in your truth because you care too much about, well, oh my gosh, how is this person gonna feel about this, feel about that, baby? Fuck what people feel, okay? It's about what do you feel when you was guided and when you was living in your truth, okay? Why does it matter what people think when it comes to you standing in your truth, right? And when people try to play in your face, right? When people try to manipulate you, try to deceive you, okay? They weren't living in their truth, right? So it's like, I'm over here protecting people from the reality of what something really happened, right? We're not doing that anymore because we're in this space where it's like, baby, the truth shall set you free, baby. The truth shall set you motherfucking free. Hey, Ricardo, Jamal, thank you so much for joining the live. What's up, Tokyo Decadence? What's up? Thank y'all so much for joining the live, right? The truth shall set you free, baby. So free yourself, okay? When you care too much about the perception of others, right? When you care too much about being understood by this one and that one, right? You're not able to live in your truth comfortably, right? Now you creating blockages in your own destiny because you so concerned about how people are going to interpret your steps and your moves, okay? So at the end of the day, you just have to do you, right? If you know that you're being divinely guided by the Most High, you're being in alignment with your truth. What you know within your spirit and your heart is in alignment with you. And those people around you may not be in agreement to it. You know, half the time they're not in agreement to it because you're being the one to coddle their needs, their desires. You know what I'm saying? You're so concerned about their projections and everything like that. So it's like you standing in your truth slows down how you're benefiting those people. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we got to get into this space where it's like if I'm not putting myself first, if I'm not allowing to see myself be in a space where I can free myself of the projections of others, right? Then how am I really living in my truth, right? How am I living in my truth? Why am I caring so much about being so understood by this one and that one? Okay, half the time these people not even living in their destiny. They're not even living in their truth. They care and they're so concerned about the perception of others and what they think of them that they're not even being true to themselves, right? So this is this is one of those things where I feel like it's so important for us to stand steady and true, stand on business about what we know is for us, right? And sometimes we're not even in that journey yet to know what our truth is, right? Are we taking time to really reflect and know what that is for us? You see what I'm saying? We got to get into that space where we're like, okay, I'm taking a look at what I know is true for me, because the Matrix always kind of puts us in position, puts us in boxes. We got to fit in somebody else's stereotypes of what we supposed to do, how we're supposed to exist and things like that. But see, I've gotten into this place where it's like, I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. I don't get, because I know that I'm divinely guided by the Most High, right? Are we talking absolute truth or self-truth? Self-truth is absolute truth, right? Because we are all here experiencing, right? If we're living in our truth, right? Our truth is a space of, everybody has their own perception, right? So it's like our truth. I don't get what you mean. Are we talking absolute truth or self-truth? Because self-truth is, what is your experience, right? As long as your experience is not rooted in delusion, right? As long as your experience, if you know that what you're experiencing is the reality, then, I feel like self-truth is absolute truth. You see what I'm saying? Because what you experience now, if you are allowing yourself to expand your mind to be able to see the reality of the world, a lot of people's realities are limited because they are in this tunnel vision way of the way that they look at life, because they're blinded by religion, right? They're blinded by the belief system that were bestowed upon them because of how they grew up or things like that. If you're not somebody that's willing to open up your mind to be able to see all kind of levels of truth, right? Because a lot of us are trapped and confined in perceptions of truth, but it's not really truth, because you don't understand the fact that there's infinite knowledge. You don't understand that there's Akashic records. There's like a universal wisdom too. So it's like, if you're one of those people that don't allow yourself to receive truth, you see what I'm saying? Then you might be in this space where you're not able to really look at things from a big picture standpoint, right? You're like black and white, when reality, life is gray, right? Because truth is based on circumstances. Truth is based on a lot of different things. Okay, everybody knows EJ says a lot of people are delusional about the truth, whether it be for themselves or absolutely the truth. I truly agree with you. Like, that's what I'm saying though, because they have a limited viewpoint, right? They don't open their minds up enough to allow everything in, to be able to put those puzzle pieces together to see the big picture of the truth. Like you said, the self-truth that I'm seeing that you're talking about, you're probably talking about the truth based on their perception, based on what they experience, right? But see, I'm an Aquarius, not to say that all Aquariuses think alike, but we do tend to have more of an open mind. So we're able to take this truth, that truth, and we're able to bring it all together to make it make sense, like a puzzle piece, right? A lot of people are just one puzzle piece of truth, right? But if you're someone who takes all those puzzle pieces and you put them together and you lay that puzzle piece down and you see the whole board, you see the whole picture, now your truth is more profound, because it's not a limited way of thinking. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Peanut Butter Jordy, thank you so much for joining the live. Hey, Muggles Daily and Hi Good 1395, thank y'all so much for joining the live. So yes, I respect exactly what you're saying. Everybody knows, EJ, like, people are speaking from a very limited point of truth, right? So I feel like, if you are somebody that has an open mind, most likely your truth is more accurate, right? But like I said, self-truth is just as important, because you have to, if we don't tie, right, we all have different purposes in life, right? So if we don't tie our truth to our purpose, to our destiny, to the reasons why we're even here, and we allow, because if we're not really walking in our truth, if we're not asking about our purpose, if we're not discovering our destiny and trying to figure out, okay, why does God have me have this certain type of perception, or why has he exposed me to this certain type of reality for me to experience this specific type of truth? You see what I'm saying? If I don't dig deep within myself to understand why this is my truth, right, then we don't necessarily know how to apply our truth into the world, into our reality. You see what I'm saying? So let me see. Hey, Radica Bobby 007, how are you? Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Hey, Francis McFarland, thank y'all for joining the live. Hi Good 1395 says, some people can't just want to justify fictional stories for clout. Big facts. People want to do that as well. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, because people care a lot about perception. People care a lot about how they're being received, but also people are out here projecting their own traumas, their own things onto other people. And it's not based in truth. It's just based on their own way that they want to be viewed in the world, because people are so caught up in living for others, right? They're not going deep within to find their truth so they can live for their truth. They're more living to fit this, like we talked about, stereotypes. People want to fit into these stereotypes, and so they choose to not, instead of go off of truth, they go off of, well, what's the truth that I can identify with that's going to attract more people to like me, to accept me, to fit in? You see what I'm saying? That's more what people think about more. Everybody knows EJ says, I feel like people have to start with learning the difference between subjective truth and objective truth. One is an opinion and one is absolute and undisputed. Facts. I truly agree with that. Chaz and Mom 96, welcome to the live. Hey, Triple Bogey Drew, thank you so much for joining the live. How Good 1395 says, don't know self yet. Big facts, right? So that's where the journey starts, y'all. The journey starts with self-discovery, right? So it's like a lot of times people don't even know themselves. So then they go out into the world and they project certain things that are not even based in reality, right? Just based on, like you said, perception or subjective truth, instead of being in an aspect of, like I said, open up the mind so you can apply experience, into your life. Because my truth is based on experience. My truth is also based on like what I've actually been through, but also things that I research. Like when things interest me, my mind is open enough that I will go do the research, that I will go read up on certain things because I want to understand it more in depth. You see what I'm saying? Because these are the things that are interesting me, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like if you don't know self, you won't be drawn to the things that are interesting you, or that interest you rather, right? And so you have to think about, what is the root to my interest? Like, why do I care about this truth, right? Like me, I want to have an awareness on a universal level, right? I don't want to just have a limited way of thinking. Like I come from a place of wanting not to only understand myself, but to understand others, right? It's like when you care about humanity as a whole, when you care about the world, you tend to look at things to understand it from a worldly level, not just from a limited place, right? So when you have the desire to want to understand things, not only from your level, but to also understand the perception of other people, then that is when you will have more of an open mind to not reject knowledge and information, right? Because I notice that happens a lot. Like I'll get into conversations with people and it's like, you'll notice their body language when they start to rejecting some of the wisdom that you're giving, because it may denote whatever their truth is. You see what I'm saying? So then it's like, instead of them looking at it like, okay, let me listen to this person, because even if I don't agree, I still want to understand their perception of thinking, right? So I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna let them, we gonna still build and we gonna still politic, because I want to understand this person's thinking, right? And it's like, we don't always have to agree, right? But when we allow ourselves to go there, instead of just rejecting it right off the bat, we don't even want to hear nothing, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, it's fucking up their reality, their way of thinking, right? That's how a lot of people think, right? Peanut Butter Jordy says, absolutely. That's the Aquarius in us, period. We want to understand it all. Exactly. You have to come from this place of wanting to understand everything and not like put something in a box, right? Be willing to have the conversation. Be willing to say, okay, I never looked at it like that, but okay, now that you put it like that, it opens up another place in your mind to build and put that information there to say, you know what, that's one other new element to the way that I looked at things that is helping me expand my wisdom and my knowledge and my understanding. And so I can actually see why you may look at it like that. Okay, but then you'll build with that and say, but guess what? If I said this A, B, C, D, F, G, right? And you guys are just building, and the wisdom and the knowledge is becoming more profound because you're able to open your mind up, right? A lot of people don't have that, where they're willing to build and accept information even when they don't fully agree. Because the thing is, right, you may understand something more than I understand it, because you went into self, and for whatever reason, that truth, that information inspired you to want to dig deeper, and you actually did more research on that specific topic than I did, right? Wasn't that interested in that topic, so like I haven't really gone to do that depth of research in that area. So now I'm talking to you and you're giving me wisdom, and even though I'm kind of like, well, I don't really know much about that topic. See, I'm willing to even say, you know what, I don't know much about that. I'm a come back to that later after. But yeah, since you kind of, you know more about it, I'm a peep game about what you're saying about that, and I'm gonna take heed to it, and I'll go and do a little more research later. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, because we're so into propaganda, right? We go to these major platforms, we go to the news channels, we go to these things, and we allow people to just feed us information, and we let them tell us things, and we're supposed to just take these things as truth, right? We have been indoctrinated to just let people tell us things and us to just accept it as the truth. And we haven't been really indoctrinated to go do the research and go back up the information, because they just want us to just be gullible and to just receive. If they saying this is how you need to perceive life, right? That's how they want us to be, right? But a lot of us are evolving and ascending in the world, and we're like, no, we're not just going to sit here and just accept anybody's truth as our truth. Okay, if that's your truth, I respect it, but at the end of the day, they don't resonate with my spirit. They don't resonate with how I rock, how I move. You know what I'm saying? Okay, if it's something that my spirit says, you need to do a little bit more digging on that, because something in that moved me. It felt like, I can see how that could possibly be the truth. Then you may go do that research, right? And that's what we got. We got to start getting our minds in that space where we're willing to go that depth, right? I'm always like my homegirl was saying, Peanut Butter Jordy, like Aquarius is, we are more we want to dig deeper. So we're always going to go beyond the depth. We're not just going to look at the surface. We're always going to ask why. Why did that happen? Or this is one of the things about me is like when people take action or when people say things, I'm always thinking like, what made them say that? What made them move like that? Cause I know how my mind works. Like if I am moved to actually verbalize some shit, there was something in my mind that triggered for me to say some shit, right? That's how our minds really work. We ain't just talking. Well, some people do just be talking just to be talking. And a lot of times those are people you got to look out for, because there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of people that want to create deception in the world. So it's like, those are the people that just be talking just to talk. And like I said, that's why I don't do too much talking to motherfuckers that don't got no substance with their conversation. If you just, shooting the shit and you ain't really talking about nothing to no depth, or at no point ever do you have that type of conversation, then I know that you're somebody that you don't have any depth. You know what I'm saying? There's probably no intellect or wisdom that I can gain from you, because you're more worried. You like to be entertained. You just want to be entertained, and you want to entertain others. And when you break down the word entertain, it's just manipulation and control of somebody's soul. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what entertainment really is. That's why they buy so much into entertainment. Why they invest so much. Why do you think billions of dollars go into Hollywood and, all of these things? Because they know the power of our minds. They know the power of influence. So, we got to pay attention to why those things are so important in our existence. You know what I'm saying? And then you got those people who were born into the world that utilize that for their benefit, to be in control of others. Okay, Peanut Butter Jordy says, I think the fear of the unknown hinders us so much, and honestly I think a lot of people may be scared of the answers they find. Big facts. Okay, because we've been so limited in our thinking in the past, right? But we're in this phase where ascension is happening whether people like it or not. And now we're being forced to see the truth. Now, you got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got all these things where all of this information is happening, right? All of these things that we did not believe in before, right? Where it was always this contradiction about, well, do aliens exist? Oh no, this is a conspiracy. And now mainstream news is reflecting that, this whole time we said this shit wasn't real, but surprise, you see what I'm saying? Like, all of these things actually are really happening around us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now we're in this place where a lot of people that didn't question things before, they're starting to wake up to this reality, when some of us been on this wave. Some of us been on this way where we accepted that things that were called quote unquote conspiracy, like, not to say that we believe 100% in one thing or another, but we open up our minds enough to accept the information, to not just act like, well, it couldn't be a possibility. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you know somebody's a deeper thinker, because they will open up their minds and they won't, just write something off because it's not something that they don't fully understand or comprehend yet. You see what I'm saying? So that's the importance. That's the importance. Hey, Bryce Grimes, welcome to the live, love. So that's the importance of having an open mind and things like that. You see what I'm saying? And we're speaking truth. But like I said, this was really steering around, like I said, you will be a villain in somebody else's story just because you don't think like them. Just because you don't have the same belief system like them. So it's like, because our belief systems is what inspires our actions and how we move and how we do things. And sometimes if your belief systems are not in alignment, people will judge you because they'll be looking at you like, this bitch, why she move like that? Why she do that? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people love to just, under the guise of like, she weird. She da-da-da-da. Okay. But if you have a profound mind and a way of thinking, you're not going to move like other people. And a lot of times you're going to be placed in that category because a lot of people, they have knowledge just to be the one that knows everything, though. But if you're somebody that applies your knowledge and turns it into wisdom, if you're somebody that takes that knowledge and you apply it in your life and you accept it as your truth, so you move in a certain way because you've accepted this wisdom as your truth, right? But a lot of people, I know too many people, first of all, that well-versed, well-read, they know so much, right? And it's like, here they are, and they're using it to feed their ego. They're using it to, to be deceptive, to be manipulative, instead of applying that wisdom and that knowledge in a way that can benefit themselves and benefit others. And they're using it in the opposite way. You see what I'm saying? So you got to pay attention to those people too that just over here running their mouth like they know every motherfucking thing. But then that wisdom, that same wisdom and knowledge, you're not even using it to better yourself or the people around you, or what I'm saying? It's not that it's your responsibility, but normally somebody that has a lot of wisdom and wealth of knowledge, you know what I'm saying, why not use that to empower yourself? Why only just use it to just be like, yeah, I know this and I know that, and to sound more intelligent in a conversation? You know what I mean? All of these corny ass things. Like, there's a lot of people that actually do this, right? And so it's very egotistical. It's very narcissistic. You know what I mean? Because it's like a lot of people who are just followers, they'll take that and run with it and be like, oh, and then they on your dick now because it's like, oh, well, they seem like they are a leader. They know everything. Well, I'm going to just follow them. Because, Erykah Badu said something really important, was that, yeah, there's only like 10% people that are followers, and then another, or that are leaders. And then the other 90% are followers, right? So it's like a lot of people will pretend to be a leader. They'll pretend to be knowledgeable. They'll, all of these things. But in reality, you're just utilizing that because you understand too. Like, a lot of people read books to be manipulative, to be deceptive. They'll know all this information because they know that it's going to benefit them in furthering being deceptive and manipulative to others. You see what I'm saying? So everybody has their reasons, but I just feel like when it comes to our truth, right? If we stand in our truth, if we really go deep within to find our own truth, and then we are guided in life by our truth, we'll be led into the direction of other people who are either aligned with our truth or have more wisdom to add to build on the truth that we know in our soul and our spirit is the truth that we need to all have access to. Because like I said, we all come here for a different purpose. So everybody's truth is not going to be the same. That's what I be trying to get people to understand, is like, the truth is the truth. Don't get me wrong, right? I don't know if people understand what I mean when I say that. The truth is the truth, but there's so much truth in the world, right, that we can access. And so, like when EJ was talking about the objective truth, subjective truth, and all of these things. That all plays a role too, significance, because when you have to interact with other people, right? Y'all truths can conflict, right? You know how they say, oh, well, that's your truth. That's your truth. Okay, because a lot of that, what they mean by that is a lot of people's truth is based on their experience, right? And that's why I say we got to understand self first before we go out into the world to start imposing our truth onto others if we don't even understand what our truth is in a whole aspect as well, right? So there is a level of truth that we have to understand. And so it's like when you get into dynamics with people who are deceptive and manipulative, right? Or you deal with narcissists and stuff like that. That's when we get into your truth and we get into these types of truths where it's like a narcissist, their truth is based in lies though. You see what I'm saying? But if they're convicted that lie is their truth, then it's gonna be like you're in a conflict with somebody who their truth is based in lies, right? But my truth, I stand in my truth, and so you can tell when somebody's standing in their truth because they're not only going to sit there and point the finger, they're gonna also include, well, I know that my truth is well. Like I know the part that I played in it. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of people who just point the finger and they project, they don't really accept the part that they played or the role that they played in a situation and things like that. So it gets a little bit more conflictual when you have to involve other people, and now we're in conflict about whose truth is valid and all these different things, right? But we have to get into this place where we're willing to look at that, because a lot of times, a lot of us who have dealt with narcissism, that comes up because a lot of narcissists will go through a smear campaign. They'll go out and they'll tell everybody lies about you because they are trying to protect their perception. They're trying to protect their the way that people perceive them, right? They're trying to protect that. So you have to get in this place where it's like, okay, if people just, first of all, I don't just get up every day to go talk to someone else about someone else. You see what I'm saying? So you have to watch the habits and the actions of others too, because it's like, why would you even get up and wake up and decide that you want to come start talking to me about this other person that otherwise I wouldn't even know if you didn't bring them up? You see what I'm saying? So you got to watch the habits of others too and how they move, and if they always got somebody in their mouth. Like, you got to watch the people that gossip all the time, that always, because what that is taking, you're manipulating energy, and you're getting people to, you're skewing their perception of somebody else, right? And if it's rooted in lies, you know what I'm saying? We talk about that being black magic and things like that. So at the end of the day, we have to be aware of who we're interacting with, and we got to be vigilant about the people who sit up and all they got to do is talk about other people. Because 9 times out of 10, that person is being deceptive. 9 times out of 10, they're trying to control your perception of them. Because my thing is, when I get around motherfuckers, I'm talking about me. What I'm into, what I'm doing. I'm not worried about what other people doing, and you know what I'm saying? Even if I dealt with you and I know you was, the only way that might come up is because I know that you bring this person up, you may have a similar experience, and then I'm like, you're validating what I already know and believe. So I'm just trying to help you confirm that, yeah, whatever the fuck you thinking, you right. Because I experienced that as well. You see what I'm saying? But besides that, you're never going to catch me walking up to somebody else and starting a whole nother conversation about another bitch or another nigga. Or I'm sitting here, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is what I mean when I'm talking about I don't mind being a villain in your story. Because like a lot of times that's what will happen. They'll want to talk about you to somebody else and you're the villain in their story. Because you stood in your truth and you didn't allow their deception to steer you from your truth. You see what I'm saying? And when it comes, there's always going to come a time where you got to stand on business about your truth. Because if I'm ever faced with the fact that somebody came and that's what they're doing is lying, and I have to stand in what my truth is, not that I give a fuck about what others think or anything, but that's self-love, right? When you don't let yourself down because you're trying to be like, if you care so much about trying to protect somebody else who has negative things to say about you, or you trying to protect somebody else, or you just trying to, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to stand up for yourself. You see what I'm saying? This is a place where you got you might be facing this place where you got to stand up for yourself because you've been involved with somebody who has decided that they want to have a smear campaign about you. You see what I'm saying? So now you got to set shit straight. It is what it is. You see what I'm saying? I don't have no problem with being a villain anymore. Like, my thing was before I was so, I didn't want to be looked at as a person that gossips, that talks about other people that behind their back and things like that. Or I also understand the perception of other people's minds. So it's like, if you riding that person's dick, if you feel like you like that person more than me, it doesn't matter if it's the truth. They're going to believe who they like more. It's a popularity contest in the world. So it's like, I never felt like I needed to say something to people because I know how people think. So it's like irrelevant. But it gets to that point where it's like, you got to honor yourself. And if you recognize that people are skewing a perception of you, then it gets to that point where it's like, okay, well, if I'm on a platform where I'm expressing myself, I'm gonna speak truly in blatantly about my truth at the end of the day, of the expense of any motherfucking body. Anybody can get it. Okay, that's where I'm at with it now, because at the end of the day, if you didn't have a problem with going and gossiping and talking about me and saying lies, you can say lies, bitch, and I'm gonna speak my truth. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? Bryce Grimes says knowledge is power. Some people use it negatively for personal gain, while others use it positively to motivate or accomplish group goals. Big facts, Bryce. That's exactly what people will do, and that's what we're talking about. It's like, if you have wisdom and you have knowledge, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people will use it to be deceptive because they'll come off as smart. Hey, Mr. Sell Your Home, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Like, people will try. It's like, that's how people sell you. You see what I'm saying? It's like a car salesman, right? When you go on a lot, they just want you to buy a car. You see what I'm saying? They gonna hide all the little small little contract shit. You know what I'm saying? They gonna put everything out in the front street to make you get this car. You see what I'm saying? But they're not gonna tell you all the fucked up shit, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. You're looking especially radiant today, might I add. Well, thank you, Bryce Grimes. You got the best compliments. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you. But yeah, it's like, at the end of the day, you know, you gotta stand on business, stand on your square, stand in your truth at the end of the day. So it's like, that's where I'm at with it now, baby. I'm walking in my truth. And a lot of times, if you care too much about the judgment of others, that's what blocks the truth. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mentioned, like, I posted something recently that was saying that a narcissist, right, will muffle your truth in the lies that they exist in. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, I'm going to stand in my truth despite of what other people around me or them think. If they have a bunch of flying monkeys and a bunch of people that enable their behavior, because a lot of people that enable their behavior because they're really good and manipulative. They're really good at being deceptive. So a lot of these people that be on their side really think they're good people, right? So that's another thing you got to be faced with. Is like, people who are super deceptive, they have a way of hiding their true self to others. So they'll be out into the world and they know, like, okay, I know how I'm going to use you. And they're going to keep themselves in a place where they are, make sure that they're being perceived a certain way by certain people, right? So it's like, they'll have certain people that really believe in this character that they built up and they've created. You see what I'm saying? So if you pay attention to that aspect of it, then you'll start to recognize who's who. You know what I mean? But like I said, most people that always got gossip, but gossip is such a prevalent thing these days, right? People, it's almost like normalized to sit there and gossip and talk about people, right? But guess what? What they say, like, fucking 70%, 80% of the fucking population suffers from narcissistic tendency, if not full-blown narcissist. So that makes sense then, to see if everybody around you and you're used to seeing that type of behavior. You see what I'm saying? It's good to separate yourself. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I've been at it. At this point in my life, I stay in isolation unless I decide that, okay, I want to break out. But I don't do the clicked up shit. I don't do none of that bullshit, because I recognize, especially in the cliques, when people, it's like 3 friends or more, Like, you notice the deception, or you notice how, you know, if it's when it's two, then that third person comes, you know what I'm saying? You notice the energy shift, because it's like people are not solid all the way through. Like, any clique or any friendship group that I've ever been in, I've always been solid with everybody. Like, you're not gonna get like one aspect of me, one friend gonna get one aspect of me that another friend's gonna get. All y'all gonna see me the same fucking way. You see what I'm saying? But I've noticed being in dynamics where it's like, boom, as soon as you get around two or more people, you're the third wheel, you start to notice the triangulation going on in the friend group. You see what I'm saying? And I always keep that, and just, you know, it was like, okay, that's kind of corny, but that's why I don't do the group shit. Like, I don't mind standing alone, because at the end of the day, my intuition is even stronger when I stand alone, because the thing about it is, people who are professional manipulators, and they love to be deceptive, they will skew your point of view by making comments, saying things to try to throw you off of what you already feel to be true. You see what I'm saying? Bryce Grimes says, hey, sexy DB, thank you so much for joining the live. Bryce Grimes says, and honestly, wish you could sell copies of your arms, because when, boy, look, get your ass on somewhere trying to distract me. It's good to see someone so beautiful to be so humble and focus on helping others. You are so sweet. Thank you, Bryce. But let's stay focused on the topic, okay? Thank you for your compliments, but don't be trying to throw me off, because, you know, you be getting me blushing and stuff. I'm trying to stay focused, so don't throw me off, okay? At the end of the day, my point is to say that when we're kicking it and we keying and you got all this, be vigilant, just be aware, see who the fuck is around you, because people be on that funny style shit, and you just won't even think nothing of it, right? And I was just watching this girl's TikTok the other day, and she mentioned how she threw this big, you know, birthday dinner rather, and like none of her girlfriends showed up. And that was like, to me, it's like, as a friend, why wouldn't you say, babe, I'm not going to be able to make it? Or just be like, don't just wait till the day of somebody's birthday and not showed up. That showed me that girl thought all these people was her friends, and not one of them was her real friend. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, at the end of the day, y'all must have all decided together that y'all wasn't going to show up for this girl. Like, why did y'all, because she's expecting y'all to show up. Like, y'all must have made it clear that y'all was going to be coming to the party and then decided not to. So that's what I'm saying about the weirdo shit that goes on. Like, when you around the cliquish people, a lot of people, they just looking for peons. Like, that's another thing I grew up, like, being around. I would notice how people are interacting in big groups. It was always one person that was like the leader of the group, and then all the rest of them was dick riding ass, peon ass motherfuckers that just was yes me into this person. And that's how a lot of friend groups are. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when we watched like little high school movies back in the day, there was always the popular girl, and then the girls that were in the popular group, there was the one girl who would just hold all of them and be like, come on, let's go, hold my books, you know what I'm saying, type of deal. So it's like, this is what's perpetuated through, you know, I don't know if people co-sign onto that, and they just, like I said, people just feed into the stereotypes, and they decide based on their own self-truth which stereotype they're going to identify with, and they just fit the script. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Fourth Ward KD, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So that's the reality of it. Like I said, I don't mind being the fucking villain. Okay? I don't mind being the fucking villain. I'm going to ensure that my truth takes the lead. And if you don't like what my truth is, bitch, like I just posted something the other day. It was like, I don't know, this guy looked like a crackhead. But it was just so funny because he was like, if you don't want to be a fuck nigga, then don't be mad. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if that's who you are, in essence, don't be mad at me because I'm pointing the shit out, right? Don't be mad at me because I'm calling you out because you a fuck nigga. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not standing in no truth, and you out here perpetuating bullshit onto others, or, you know, don't projecting, you know what I'm saying, onto others because you a fuck nigga. Like, you're not going to project that onto me. I'm going to stand in my truth, because that's what happens. When you allow people to just walk and live in their lies, then that negates your truth. And I'm not doing that shit no more. So, like I said, anybody can get it, right? I've dealt with a lot of motherfuckers who've been lying, been on that bullshit, like, and it's like, if you're a part of my story, you made it that way. You became a part of my story when you decided to try to project that bullshit onto me. So now it's like, if I have to speak my truth, you're going to have to fucking deal with the consequences of what that truth is. And I will be the villain in your story. You see what I'm saying? Because you're the clown in mine. You see what I'm saying? You had the multiple masks on. What's up, IPL7? Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Bryce Grimes says, I'm focused. I need the challenge. It makes the info hit better for my... Big facts, right? Staying focused on the actual concept of what we're talking about, because this is something that I'm sure you have been affected by at some point in your life. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, I'm just bringing light to the fact that if we're not standing in our truth and we're allowing other people's perceptions to take the lead, and we're not really standing up for ourselves, like, we're letting ourselves down, really. You see what I'm saying? We're not giving ourselves the proper self-love. You see what I'm saying? And we're just allowing people to create perceptions in the world of us that aren't even true. You see what I'm saying? I've been blackballed by motherfuckers. Like, I remember being young, like, I was in the modeling industry. Like, I was doing a lot of shit in the city. Like, and because I was dealing with the wrong motherfucker, that motherfucker blackballed me, and I was peeping game. It was like, motherfuckers didn't want to work with me no more. People didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? And I had been really known. Like, I was in a lot of the Black Expo fashion shows, hair shows. I was in a lot of the, you know what I'm saying, doing a lot of videos, doing movies, doing all kind of shit. You see what I'm saying? And because this one particular person wanted to lie, right? Because, you know, of their being a narcissist, you know, narcissism doesn't come with, like, you gotta have a reason. If you're a narcissist in essence, that's just who you are. You are an energy siphoner, so you utilize people to benefit yourself, and then when they no longer are having, or if they're no longer a benefit to you, then you discard them and you create a smear campaign, because also too, they want to continue to come back to you when it's beneficial to them, and they don't want other people to have access to you. So what they'll do is they'll create a smear campaign around to say, oh, don't fuck with her, she crazy, she this, she that, right? But then the reality is that they just don't want nobody else to fuck with you. They don't want nobody else to see who you really are, because then it wouldn't fit the narrative that they fucking spent and created about you. You see what I'm saying? So they do that because it's like, well, if anybody else really get to know her, they're going to see she's actually the realest bitch alive. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't want you to fucking be able to tap into the truth of who you really are. So they're going to spin that narrative as the best way that they can. You see what I'm saying? So I've experienced being blackballed. I've experienced being hated on, had this smear campaigns, and I've experienced it affecting the desires that I had in life, the things that I were pursuing. I had to shift. If it wasn't for me being resilient, if it wasn't for me being able to reinvent myself, if it wasn't for me being multi-talented, multi-skilled, for me able to be a reroute and say, okay, well, if I ain't gonna be modeling no more, if I'm not gonna do, you know, videos or do, you know, whatever the fuck, then okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do my music now, okay? Or I'm gonna DJ, I'm gonna do videography, I'm gonna do photography, I'm gonna do whatever. You see what I'm saying? I was able to utilize my skills to reroute because this bitch wanted to fucking try to blackball me from a certain industry. You see what I'm saying? So the reality is like, that's why you gotta know who you are, and don't let not one motherfucker who wanna try to skew the perception of you to let that shit slide and let that shit ride. You gotta know who you are, and you have to big yourself up. You gotta empower yourself, even through when you know you may walk into a room and everybody's perception of this is you is everybody's perception, this negative perception of you is a specific thing, right? But you know that's not your truth, right? So you don't want to go into the world to validate what these people think of you based on a lie, based on a smear campaign, based on somebody, you know what I'm saying, creating this false perception of you. So it's like, now you just got to show your resilience. Now you just have to show your creativity in other ways. Now you just have to realize that, you know what? You know that God flows through you. That person don't have no real power. You see what I'm saying? And so when you don't give that power away, because you will, if you allow that person to allow them to skew the perception of you, and you feed into that, and you just be docile and be like, well, oh, woe is me, and you just give up in life, then you just allow that person to destiny swap with you, really. Hey, shot callers. Hey, Carolina Brodella. Hey, Jack Attack 9. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. Hey, beautiful. Thank you so much for the love. Yeah. So that's why it's so important for you to stand in your truth despite of other people's perceptions, and to fucking walk with your head high. Okay? Know who the fuck you are regardless of what a bitch gotta say, because you know that's not who you are. You know that's not your truth. You see what I'm saying? And I recognize that over in time, but like, because I didn't understand like narcissism to the aspect that I understand it now, I didn't recognize, you know, what it was at first. And so, you know, when I was dealing with this narcissist who tried to blackball me, you know, from the industry, like, you know, this person had me believing that they loved me and everything. You see what I'm saying? And even though I should have known that this is toxic, how could this be love? You see what I'm saying? I still fed into it because I felt like, well, why is this person so invested in me then? Why won't they ever leave me the fuck alone? Why do they keep, you know, even though, like, because that's another thing that narcissists will do. They'll ghost you. You might not talk to them for months. You might not see them for years. But then, boom, they pop back in your life like, acting like they apologetic and they sorry and they gonna change it and all that. So that's another red flag. If you got somebody in your life that don't do you right, disappear, then pop back up into your life and be like, oh, baby, I'm gonna change. I'm sorry. Fuck that. Do not let nobody fucking, that's energy siphoning. That's witchcraft. That's a fucking warlock trying to get you to siphon your energy, and they play on your emotional roller coaster. They build you up to break you down. You see what I'm saying? So if you ever dealing with somebody that be on that type of time, you got to recognize what that is. The Finest TB says, thank you for your readings. You brought me out of a sad headspace. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are here confirming that to me, to let me know, because that's exactly why I do this. It's to empower y'all. It's to uplift y'all, because everything that I talk about, I done been fucking through. I'm not just talking about shit because of I read it in a fucking book, baby. This is my experience. This is my truth. So I'm so glad that you are being moved by this, baby. Thank you so much for that confirmation. Bryce Grimes says, I was in my first play on Sunday and I was the lead. And that was my first time experiencing a hater that was trying to sabotage my performance. He wasn't successful, but it was crazy to see him try. The Finest TB says, you the best, Ma. Thank you, baby. Bryce Grimes says, and he thought he was slick and he was a castmate. Facts, Bryce. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is what I'm saying. People will despise your light, right? People will see your talent and be envious, be jealous. And for whatever reason, it's like I said, it's spiritual, y'all. Once y'all realize this shit is spiritual, that they can't control it because they got some kind of negative spirit attached to them. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, like I say, when we talk about narcissism, a lot of times it stems from their childhood, and they've literally embraced this spirit that's attached to them. And so, you know, they have to want to be delivered from that. If they're not wanting to be delivered from that, that's not ever going to change. They're going to always have this where they have envy of others. They feel like they want to siphon your energy because they want to destiny swap with you. They want to try to sabotage your situation because it's going to, you know, make them look better. It's going to help them in some kind of way, shape, or form, right? When you understand this shit is spiritual, then you stop trying to rationalize it in a sense, because sometimes shit that's spiritual can't be rationalized. And when you're trying to rationalize everything, then you start to let yourself down because you start to find all of these validations on why what you're feeling ain't really true. Because when you think of things spiritually or miraculously, or you think of how things work when it's the unseen, you start to accept things that don't always make sense to the logic, but it does make sense to the spirit and the soul. You see what I'm saying? So when we start identifying with our spiritual aspect, then we'll start to recognize why people do envious, sabotaging, conniving type of things to us. Because otherwise we feel like we're such good people. We didn't do nothing but pour into them. We didn't do nothing but love them. We didn't do nothing but love them unconditionally. Why would they treat us like this, right? So that's why we just got to start looking at it like, okay, it's spiritual. And like when you carry a certain type of light within you, baby, you're going to attract all these demons. You're going to attract all of these spirits that want to siphon your light, siphon your energy, want to dim your light, want to take that from you because they feel like, how fucking dare you, bitch? I had to sell my soul to experience that. I had to do this. I had to do that. And they looking at you because you have always been pure-hearted person. You always wanted to go, and not to say we not all perfect, right? But you, at some point, even if you went down the wrong path, you got back on the right path. You rerouted yourself because you were seeking God and you allowed God to guide you to what he really wanted for you. You seeked your destiny, like Bryce keeps saying. I'm keeping my destiny. God got me. Big facts. Okay? Wow, that's so deep, Santi. Thank you. I got you. Vibes with Sabrina. Welcome to the live, love. So it's like, yeah, like at some point we may have gotten led astray, but we found our way because we seek the Most High, especially when we're in our darkest moments. When we go to the Most High, because a lot of times we can go, when we get them deep, them dark moments, we're always tempted. The devil always presents himself to say, oh, well, I got an easy way out for you, right? But if you're not willing to take the easy way out because you know God got you, that is how you stay on that pure path. And then that karma, they gonna get their karma. But when you feed into what the devil is entertaining, when you feed into the easy route out, you see what I'm saying? Then you start to skew your own karma, and then you bring in more fucked up situations to have to deal with and to have to sift through. The finest TB says, man, they always start off so nice. Then they start to show they hate. Big facts, because that is manipulation. That's deception. That's love bombing. Then gaslighting. That's the narcissist way. Hey, Brisa 888, thank you so much for joining the live. Hey, Sugwili, thank y'all so much for joining the live, love. Yeah, that's what happens. It's like, it's all manipulation and deception. So when we start being true to ourselves, we start following our intuition, right? I say this a lot. If it's energy, if you're not being able to read the energy in the room, fuck what motherfuckers is talking about. How does that shit feel? That's what you go by, right? Because and you don't have to be forthcoming to say, I feel like what you're saying ain't I feel like what you're saying ain't your truth or whatever. But it's for you. It's not for nobody else. And it's for you to make your decision based off what you feel in that energy, not based off what somebody running their mouth and what they saying. Because people will say whatever the fuck because they're trying to deceive you anyway. Hey, Mustafa Credit, thank you so much for joining the live, love. The finest TV says there's a lot of undercover hate in these people. Big facts. It's like I said, it's the spirit on them. Once you realize it's the spirit on them, right? And spirit can flow through anybody. Like I talk about the Agent Smiths. If you've ever seen The Matrix, you see how the Agent Smiths would become. They would basically become activated in people, and that's what spirit is, right? Bryce Grimes says, or they're hot and cold, so you can't tell if they're a hater or they're just trying to be funny. Shake my head. So much manipulation. Right. And that's what manipulators or narcissists do. They want to create cognitive dissonance within you so your intuition is confused, so you don't follow your intuition. So like that's another energy you want to pay attention to. If you get around a motherfucker and you feel confused, peep that shit. Peep that shit, because it's like, nah, energy does not lie. And when you start leading with that, baby, you will start, like I said, rerouting and moving people around, because that's another form of narcissism. People, they know what they're doing. Or if they don't know what they're doing, the spirit on them knows what they're doing, right? Narcissism is a spirit, right? So when we stop identifying with people as humans and we start seeing them as they have a spirit on them, we will stop, like, sometimes we accept things because of who the person is. But instead of saying, okay, that person, I got love for that person, but that person is dealing with a narcissistic spirit. That person is dealing with a spirit, and if they're not willing to be delivered, there's nothing that I can really do, and I have to love them from afar. I have to let them go because they're not willing to grow. Hey, Two Doug, thank you so much for joining the live, love. The finest TB says, nah, for real. I need clarity, not bull crap. Big facts, right? So it's like, it's not up to, like, we have to get into this place where we not like having people spell shit out for us, right? We always like, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody else, but that's how I used to be, right? I used to even go to people and say, I feel this energy is weird. Like, what is it? Are you sure everything's okay? Do you, like, let's talk this out, because I can sense that there's something wrong. Let's fix it. You know what I mean? But they don't want you. They want to create this confusion within you. They're going to make it seem like, ain't nothing wrong. But then their energy is showing something different. They're doing that on purpose. Okay? So anytime somebody you get around a motherfucker and they want to cause this type of confusion, peep game, take notes, and move accordingly. Okay? Stop being so loyal to motherfuckers that are showing you these types of red flags, because they benefit you being around, but while they're benefiting your energy and siphoning all your energy up, you're sitting there getting drained. You're sitting there, if you're not aware of it, right? But if you're aware of it, you can put up certain protective mechanisms around you, because sometimes you're forced to have to deal with people. And if you're forced to have to deal with them, you're going to put up the proper protective measures to ensure that what they're trying to do is not working on you. You see what I'm saying? But the reality is that in those situations where you're not forced to have to deal with these motherfuckers, then move around. Reroute, okay? Because that's all they're trying to do is siphon your energy, and they're trying to drain you, or they're trying to they're trying to destiny swap with you. And what destiny swap has to do with them they're trying to swap karmic debt. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why narcissists will sit up there and continue to try to get you to react so you can blow up. And then finally, when you blow up, they use that against you to say, oh, see, or they try to video record you, or they try to do something to put you on Front Street to say, look, so they can show to their world of people that they've been lying to already, saying that you was crazy, everything like that. Now you gave them something to validate the manipulation and the deception and the lies that they've been trying to tell people behind the scene anyway, right? Leading up to it. Now they got some information to validate, right, what they're saying. That's why you can't allow these people to control you energetically. You gotta stand so firm in your foundation of who you are that when you see a motherfucking provoking spirit trying to cause you some type of, crazy reaction, you don't give them what they looking for, because that's what they need, because it's getting to this point where they're getting to a point where they need to show some kind of proof that everything they've been saying about you, all the smear campaign is actually true. And so you don't want to give that to them, because then it's just, like I said, it's that destiny swapping aspect. Bryce Grimes says energy don't lie and hips don't lie in sports, so you don't get crossed over. You so silly. Yeah, pay attention to the body language too. Yeah, slap a whole nation 369. Welcome to the live, love. So yeah, y'all, that's the reality of it. It's like, don't let motherfuckers destiny swap with you. Don't let people project onto you and then you stay around so long that you done got so upset that now you do look like the crazy motherfucker that they try to tell everybody that you was, right? Because to them it's all a game, right? To them it's all so you gotta look at life. Like I always used to say, like, I don't want to play games, right? And I'm not about to play games with you. Like, if I recognize these type of behaviors, like I said, I move around because I'm not willing to play the game with you. But if I'm in a situation, like I said, if I was with somebody, right, and we already put ourselves in a dynamic where, okay, maybe we got some type of contract together. Now we live together. Now we're married. Now you my baby daddy. Now you, like, there's certain situations where you're forced to have to deal with this motherfucker, right? And in those situations, now you got to start playing chess, not checkers. You see what I'm saying? And you do gotta almost kind of play the game because you're forced to have to interact with them. So now you gotta move a certain kind of way to ensure that they're not able to siphon your energy, or they're not able to try to project this demon onto you, right? Because that's another thing too. If you're vibrating on a certain frequency, they can't exist there. So it's like when you stay high, right? They're going to do everything in the power to try to get you to lower your frequency, right? So you can meet them, and then but if you stay on your high frequency, there's no way they can convince others that you're somehow a demon or you're somehow crazy, because you stayed in that level of groundedness, balance, and you moved away from the drama instead of participating and feeding into it. You see what I'm saying? Bryce Grimes says, Santi, this is so true. And they were saying shit behind my back, trying to build a narrative that they now have to try and make true. Right. But Bryce, it's from what I know of you are always calm, cool, collective. You know what I'm saying? You seem like this very sweet, innocent guy. So it's like, I couldn't even see them trying to project this truth onto you, right? But at the end of the day, you have to think about, there's all types of narcissism. There's covert narcissism, and there's it's covert and it's overt, right? So covert, they have a way of coming off very sweet, nice, unassuming, right? They come off as charitable and things like that. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's very hard sometimes to be able to dictate what's true and what's not. The only way is how you move in your actions, and how, like I said, you don't interfere, you don't interact with the bullshit, and you remain true in who you are despite who's around. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Kill Cam Rasta, thank you so much for joining the live. Bryce Grimes says, and you're right, it is a game to them, because they said, I got to take out the top guy to be the top guy. Shaking my head. Hey, Champagne and Ponies, thank you so much for joining the live. Right, exactly. Like, it's a sad thing that, American culture, in a way, because of our economy and, the hierarchy that we have, like, they teach they teach us competitiveness, and that there can only be one winner, and they don't teach us teamwork like that. You know what I'm saying? They teach us we're always in competition with another motherfucker, and we kind of embrace that. And that becomes certain, like, moral grounding or certain principles that we adopt in our lives. And then we start to portray that into, our everyday existence. And it's sad, right, that we do that. But it's like, you can see, who is all for self and who's not. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you read the energy, you'll see who's pretending to. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, it's the energy. Period. So when you, like I said, don't just be so moved by people's words. Be moved by the energy. Be moved by, how you feel intuitively about a situation. And then also still take in the physical evidence. But how do you feel spiritually? How do you feel energetically? You know what I'm saying? And that's going to help you move a certain way as well. Bryce Grimes says, it's so crazy because before the show, I was mingling at the reception doing my thing. And once I came to talk to them, they tried to bring my energy down. But right when I came over, my family was walking in. So they couldn't bring me down. God got me. Big facts. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, people are going to try you, especially if they know you got something big going on. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people don't want to see you elevate further than them, right? So if they feel like, this is your big one, right? This is where you about to, now, like you said, they're going to try to infiltrate. They're going to try to come in and do something to try to discourage your energy or discourage you from being confident and things like that, right? But like I said, when you stop validating yourself in others and you just validate yourself in the Most High, you know what gift that God gave you. When you only compare yourself to who you were yesterday and how you can be better, and when you understand that nobody is on your exact same path, like what God has for you, He don't have for nobody else. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and when we get out of that competitive spirit and we stop trying to look at comparison of others and where they are and what they're doing, you see what I'm saying? Then we'll get out of that space where we don't give a fuck about what other people doing. We'll be so confident in ourselves because we know what God got for us is only for us. So it's like, even if I'm not in let's say the space that people who have their judgments and their perceptions of you and where you should be, right? And you feel like you're not there, you won't be moved by that or their judgments because you're like, I know what God got for me. And God said, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be at. my purpose and my destiny shows me that when I look at the motherfucking GPS, I'm exactly at the location that I was supposed to be at. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Finesse, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So, yeah, you see what I'm saying? So, it's like, we not competing with nobody. You see what I'm saying? We don't give a fuck what people think. We don't care. You know what I'm saying? We're like I said, we're reading the energy. You know, what does the energy say? And, you know, when you notice off energy with people, like when you around them, peep that. Because most likely that those people have been affected by somebody that got something negative to say about you. You see what I'm saying? But if you're standing in your truth, right? If you're standing in your truth, and if you know you're in alignment with the Most High, you know that your heart is pure. You know you're not out here projecting on the other people, right? Being negative. You're not practicing envy on others. You're not, you know what I'm saying, being jealous hearted. You're not, you know, when you know that you're moving in purity and good intention, you see what I'm saying? Then, and you're not allowing people to provoke you, and you're not feeding into that shit either. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're protecting your dharma. You know what I'm saying? When you protecting your dharma, it doesn't matter what weapon is formed against you, it will not prosper. Okay? So it's like people can try to project their envy on you. They can try to come and try to destiny swap. They can try to get in the way of your blessings, but what is for you will not miss you ever. Okay? And they can try to create delays and all of that stuff, but if there is a delay, it's only because God is trying to move them out of the way before they give you the blessing. Because God be knowing who you might have a liking to that person. You may have some type of empathy towards that person that you feel like you want to stay connected. God gonna move motherfuckers out the way, or God is gonna present to you who people really are before he really bless you for real. Because it's like he knows your heart. He knows that the same motherfuckers that was preying on you, that envied you, that didn't want to see you come up, those are the same people you want to break bread with. Those are the same people you gonna show love to. Them is the same people you gonna break them off a little this, a little that, because you feel like you well off. You see what I'm saying? And God said, okay? Because God don't want you breaking bread with people who was wishing against you and plotting on your downfall. You see what I'm saying? So that's the only way your blessing's going to be delayed, is that you still got people around you that ain't really wishing the best for you. And so you got to stand. That's the self-love part of it that allows you to reroute and move around away from people that don't mean the best for you, that don't wish good for you, that don't want to see you doing better than them. You see what I'm saying? So pay attention to that, right? And be okay with being the villain in another motherfucker story. You see what I'm saying? Because that's where I'm at with it. Like, I don't give a fuck. And I'm going to speak my truth regardless of who like it. You see what I'm saying? And I always know, because like I said, when you dealing with narcissists, they always got some peons riding their dick that is going to try to come out and validate what they were doing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, I don't care about the judgment of others. All I care about is the self-love that I have for myself. My truth, my intuition, my energy, what I feel is right and what I feel is wrong based on my intuition, right? And so I'm standing on that moving forward, right? So stand on business about you. Stand on business about you. Don't let no motherfucking body have you meat meal. You know what I'm saying? Have you where you feeling like you can't stand up for your motherfucking self. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Rock Zen Sage 64. Thank you so much for joining the live. Yeah, don't have nobody intimidating you, trying to make you feel like, oh, okay. Because this is another thing I've experienced being in a relationship with a narcissist. This motherfucker will try to tell you like, oh, ain't nobody else gonna want you. Ain't nobody's gonna believe you. Like, nobody's gonna da-da-da. And it's like, first of all, I didn't believe that even when I was in the dynamic or in the relationship. But at the same time, it took me a little time to recognize that I was dealing with a narcissist, right? So it's just like, now that I'm so well versed in narcissism, right, I can peep what something is based on, like I said, behaviors, energy. Like, I read the way I pattern recognition. You see what I'm saying? If you move in a certain kind of way, I can not to say, okay, 100%, but in my mind, I'm clocking it kind of like, okay, this motherfucker moving like this, like that. So the possibility is very high that this person could be narcissist or have narcissistic tendencies. So let me clock that T in the back of my motherfucking mind, so that way now when a motherfucker is trying to provoke me, trigger me, gaslight me, I know how to respond and react to it. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Royal Lifestyle LLC, thank you so much for joining the live. Royal Lifestyle LLC says, don't you have to a level of narcissism to believe in your dreams and work towards your goals? Narcissism is different. I would say that people use that word because they don't understand what narcissism really is. I feel like you have to have a level of confidence in yourself enough but narcissism is not confidence by no means, right? Royal Lifestyle LLC says it's a space of using a gift for good or evil. That's not what narcissism is either. Narcissism is a mental illness, and it's like you're actually affected by a spirit. Narcissism is, you have a spirit of narcissism, so it's like you have a low vibrational entity attached to you that causes you to want to demean another person, that causes you to want to energy siphon and things like that, right? So that's what narcissism is. So I understand what people mean when they say, well, don't you have to have a level of narcissism? But no, it's not. Because by no means are you trying to demean someone else to get ahead, right? You don't have to. When you're working with God and God has a purpose and a destiny for you, God didn't put you in a position to have to shit on nobody else for you to get there. You see what I'm saying? So Royal Lifestyle LLC says, overstood, just was curious. I read it in a book, felt the same way. Yes, exactly. And see, that's what I'm saying. You gotta, it's good to read books, but you have to think about, this is a book from another human being. And was that human being narcissist? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to think about the source of the information that you got it from. Not to say that the information may not be healthy in certain situations, because it's going to help. When you can recognize narcissism, that is a way to help you navigate and move through the world. You see what I'm saying? So it's like peeping game and understanding what it is, but also putting things back into perspective from a standpoint of being guided by the Most High, right? Because in this world, they want you to be moved by lower energy, lower frequency things. You know what I'm saying? They want you to be moved by lust, moved by envy, moved by competition, but when you are working in what God has for you, there is no other competition in your lane, because God got a specific destiny for you. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like in that standpoint, if you're looking at it from there, you don't have to look at it like, oh, I gotta be in competition with this one or that one, or you know what I'm saying, or feeling like people are being competitive with you, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody competitive with you, especially when you moving in God's light. There's always going to be somebody trying to compete with that, because you know what I'm saying, that light is something pure that they don't even have access to. Well, not to say that they couldn't have if they were moving purely, if they were moving in a purpose, right? But people who are trying to destiny swap, they're not moving in a purpose. They trying to move in your purpose, and they're not even going within to find out what their purpose is. You see what I'm saying? They trying to do what you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to beware of people that's too admirable, they admire you too much, want to be like you too much. Like, okay, well, but who are you? Like, let me see who you are in essence at the core of you. Because yes, I'm great, but so are you. If you was walking in your own path and your own purpose and your own destiny, and not comparing your shit to me and what the fuck I got going on. You see what I'm saying? Royal Lifestyle says, all facts. Appreciate the perspective and insight. Most definitely, I got you. Rocks and Sage 654 says, I was in a relationship for 9 years with a narcissist ex, and her family was in a cult. They tried to destroy me, did a great job until God got me out. 3 years ago, I left still dealing with legal issues from their lies and jealousy. See, and this is what I'm saying. It's like, if we don't understand and recognize energy, if we don't understand and recognize spirit, if we don't understand and recognize the Most High, right? If we'll get into these situations, and if we don't recognize, like, okay, something, if we can't identify, like, okay, this is toxic, this is unhealthy, right? In moments that we recognize something is not for us, right? A lot of times we be fighting for marriages, fighting for relationships, fighting to stick it out with somebody, but for fucking what? Bitch, if you're sitting up here causing me discord, dis-ease, all these fucking unhealthy things within myself, why should I be trying to fight to be with somebody who isn't pouring into me, that isn't making me feel like the best me that I can be? You see what I'm saying? It's like, these are people who are trying to steal your light, and people, beware of people that want to try to marry you all quick. People that want, now, not to say like, there are those circumstances where God puts you with your divine counterpart, and if you're going by the energy of things, like, okay, right? But at the end of the day, right, there are these dynamics, like, because from experience, I had a nigga that was like trying to marry me all fast, and he wasn't even in a situation to be trying to marry me. Like, first of all, bitch, if you was to marry me today, then you ain't got... Now, like I said, I'm not a superficial person, so it didn't matter what he had. But it's like, you wanted me to go to the court. You wanted me to go down to the court system with you and marry you. But you don't even have the means to ask me to marry you in a way that means something. Like, you're not able to get on your knee and do some big grandiose, thing to show me the love that you have for me, right? You talking about, oh, let's go down to the courthouse. Bitch, that's a red flag. Okay, that's a red flag, because a lot of times people just trying to hurry up and lock in with you because they want you to be tied to them so they can energy siphon with you their whole fucking life. You see what I'm saying? Laughing my ass off, bitch, for fucking what? Right! And Royal Lifestyle LLC says, indeed, he does Bryce Grimes. He just got me out of a situation. Big fact. Yeah, so it's like, it's our responsibility to ensure that we are so precise in every action, every word a motherfucker say. Like, it's called being present, right? It's not like you being paranoid. You're being present. So when you're present, you're peeping game and motherfuckers say what they do. You're paying attention, because it's like, as soon as that shit switch up, you gotta pay attention to that, because it's like, you presented this person to me when we first met. Now, 2 months later, I'm being introduced to a whole nother motherfucker. Bitch, who are you? What's your name? Okay, because like I said, when it's a spirit on you, now this spirit is taking precedence in this person. This person's soul, maybe who they could have been at some point. You know what I'm saying? When they let that spirit activate in them, now you're dealing with a Jezebel spirit. Now you're dealing with an incubus, succubus spirit. Now you're dealing with something that's not that person's essence, or, you know what I'm saying, they could have just been a facade from the beginning. You never know. But you need to pay attention to how the fuck people are moving. Pattern recognition. When motherfuckers start switching up, you gotta question, well, why is that? Okay? Because you get what you get with me, baby. Okay? You're not, and I'm multifaceted. Don't get me wrong. We are all multifaceted, right? So, but my thing is, I am going to show that multifaceted aspect of me, period. Throughout all of my experience, you're going to be able to witness that I'm a multifaceted person, right? For somebody who shows you they're this, that, and this is who they are, but then you start to witness other sides of them that they kept on the back burner, and that, that's a red flag. You got to pay attention to it. And that doesn't always mean that you're dealing with a narcissist, but what it does mean is that you're in your present moment and you're being observative enough to be able to peep game when shit is shifting, and when things ain't adding up, you have to be able to pull the plug on some shit. Because that's what happens. You'll waste fucking, 9 years of your fucking life with a motherfucker that been energy siphoning you that whole time. Okay? So peep game and start to pay attention to what's going on around you, so you are fully aware of what the fuck something is. Yes, Royal Lifestyle LLC, energy vampires. And hey, Beyond Often, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Royal Lifestyle LLC says, some of these spirits I'm just coming across. Bryce Grimes says, you got to close your ears and leave rooms because you can't allow their words to enter your spirit. Period. Well, I wouldn't say you got to close your ears and leave rooms, but when you have, like, it's just like the subconscious and the conscious awareness. When you see something for what it is, it's no longer working on your subconscious. You bringing it to your conscious awareness, so now you can actually act on it. A lot of times the subconscious picks up shit and you're just on autopilot because you didn't recognize it for what it was. You see what I'm saying? So it's about bringing things to the forefront. When you bring that shit to the forefront, then it doesn't have any power over you. You see what I'm saying? Because now you recognizing what it is. It only has power over you when, you know, you don't recognize what the fuck something is. Royal Lifestyle LLC says, I try to learn how to move around. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm tripping, y'all. Left my tea on the damn. I knew I was smelling something. I was like, hold on, I can't burn my shit down. Had my tea on the thing and I forgot to turn the damn eye off. Damn, I was getting so into it. But anyway, so Royal Lifestyle LLC says, I try to learn how to move around them all with God's grace and pray for protection. I'm currently learning how to not let someone's energy evade mine. The links she's going through to hurt me is wow. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, a lot of people ask for spirits they can't handle. They love how you shine until you make them uncomfortable. Facts. A lot of people ask for spirits they can't handle. They love how you shine until you make them uncomfortable. Exactly. Aftermarket Mastermind, welcome to the live, love. Royal Lifestyle says they like pieces of you. Facts. Bryce Grimes says Proverbs 4:23 says, above all, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So on top of being aware, I'm also walking out the room. Big facts. And I totally agree with walking out of the room. That's what I mean by saying walking away, right? Once you observe something, but I'm also speaking to those people who are in dynamics where they may be contractually tied to somebody. They're married to them. It's their baby mama, they baby daddy. They're in a fucking lease with somebody. They say they roommate with somebody, right? And some dynamics is you can't just always just get up and go right then and there. But I do feel like as soon as you recognize what something is, you go ahead and start making preparation to move the fuck around. You see what I'm saying? So I totally agree with what you're saying. But there's also dynamics where these people are your significant other. These people, you know, you got to go through all these fucking hoops and loops to try to divorce somebody and all of these different things. Yeah, see, Royal Lifestyle says they were stuck in a lease with somebody. The Finest TV says they don't want you to outshine them. Big facts, right? So it's just like, that's when you get in those dynamics, that's when you just got to start, like I said, playing chess, not checkers. You got to start, and like I said, you can start isolating yourself. You can start, like, you know, I know that you want to feel comfortable in your own home, but that happened for me too. Like, I had a roommate to where when I felt the energy shift, my ass started being out of the house more. Like, I would come home when it's time for me to go to bed. Like, I would go out and I just, you know what I'm saying, if I need to go to Starbucks and I need to sit somewhere and make a plan for my so I can get the fuck on, or whatever it is, go somewhere where you can ground yourself, right? Go somewhere, and sometimes, because I know it's winter in some places, it ain't always fun to have to leave the comfort of your home to have to go somewhere else, but it's better than being around somebody who's trying to siphon your energy, who's trying to provoke you and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So yes, exactly. Prayer is very important to every day too, especially if you're around somebody like that. You have to have prayers of protection, and you have to confirm it with conviction every day when you wake up, you know what I'm saying? And before you go to bed, you know what I'm saying? These are things that you have to make a part of your ritual, because it's spiritual. And when you know somebody's trying to siphon your energy spiritually, then you need to go in a spirit way to protect yourself, because it ain't always physical that somebody's trying to do harm. You see what I'm saying? Let me see. But yeah, like Royale Lifestyle says, a lot of people ask for spirits they can't handle. They love how you shine until you make them uncomfortable. But yeah, it's like the reality is that they know that you're a spirit that they can't handle, right? It's like they are attracted to you because of your spirit, but that spirit on them it's almost like when we talk about chosen ones, right? When we talk about star seeds, and we talk about people who are of divine God, white light, right? Then we talk about demons, and we talk about Satan and things like that, right? When we're getting on a spiritual level, right? Just like God has chosen ones, demons and Satan has his little demons that are chosen for him, because it's like they done the most dirt, they siphon the most energy, they can convert, right, these people from you being somebody that's powerful, that's being somebody that is, hey, local 1402, thank you so much for joining the live, love. You know what I'm saying? But it's like their demons can convert you. Like a lot of times that's what will happen. They will cause so much havoc in their life that they, like I said, they destiny swap with you, or they'll take that karma, right? That karma, because they done drove you so much. They done took your frequency from this high, brought it down to this low, and now got you meeting them on their low vibrational frequency. So now they can attach their spirits to you. Now they can cause you to go crazy, to cause some type of negative havoc, okay, in their lives. And then they can try to project into the world that, oh, see, like I said, she crazy, she's this, she's that, right? So it's like people will see your light, but they'll want to dim your light, right? They won't want you because it intimidates them, right? Your light intimidates others. So it's like at the end of the day, when they see you as a challenge, okay? What's up, Famo Big? Thank you so much for joining the live, love. When people see your light, they will see that as a challenge, but then when they see that they can't dim your light, right? That's when that envy comes. That's when they want to try to, create kind of havoc in your life. That's when they want to try to, smear campaign. They want to make people believe that you are this fucked up person that you really aren't. Because the reality is a lot of narcissism, they portray themselves in a world to make them seem like they're this light. They're this and they're that, right? And they're like, it goes against what exactly they were portraying to their little peons or people that follow behind them, right? They made them think, yeah, she crazy, she's a demon, she's dark, she's this, she's that, right? And that's exactly who the fuck they are, right? So it's like they will provoke you. They will continue to provoke you, try to get little thing. And it's so hard, right? They be so pissed when they can't provoke you. They be so pissed when they can't get the evidence of what it is that they told the world that you was, right? Because you stay grounded in your light and who you are. So it's like they can't spin the narrative on you, or at least the only thing that they can do is gossip. But when it comes to trying to find receipts, baby, where are the receipts? There are none, baby. Because I've been of God. I've been of the divine. There was nothing that you could do to draw me to become like you. And that's what a lot of people will do, is because they're so dark and they're so fucked up. They want to believe that that's all there is in the world. Because that's what drew them to be so fucked up in the first place. They thought like, well, shit, everybody's fucked up in the world. Everybody is just, nobody can be trusted, right? It's like people, they had this cold heart and they seen that reflection out into the world, because we draw what we are within ourselves, right? So we will continue to draw experiences, and if we don't reflect that, okay, I'm going to turn that mirror right on around, baby, because that ain't me. You can't try to project your darkness onto me, right? I'm going to turn that mirror around and reflect to you exactly who the fuck you really are. Because in reality, I know that I walk with the Most High. So it's like, but people will do their most to try to confirm and validate their belief system that the world is cold and that there are nobody in the world that really walks with pure love. And so that's how they became cold-hearted themselves. That's how they became fucked up themselves. And so now they want to have their proof. They want to have their receipts. And they're trying to say like, oh, because you walk with the light, they're going to try to come fucking with you. Because they're like, oh, okay, she thinks watch, I'm a fuck her whole world up. And I bet she won't be light and love no more. Right? This is just be the spirits on them that make them want to do that. You see what I'm saying? So Royal Lifestyle says, who? Because they will work hard to dim your light. Big fact. She said, yes, this is so divine. Big fact, sis. Royal Lifestyle LLC says, or did I say sis? Is this sis or bro? I'm sorry. Because you said she was the one that was trying to break you down. So, bro, I needed to hear this today. Gratitude for staying tuned in and speaking. You are helping the chosen ones get through. Big facts. Dwindle Robinson, thank you so much for joining the live, love. Bryce Grimes says, a lot of times I feel like I'm an enigma or novelty to people and they don't understand me. They don't understand why I seem so soft but project so much confidence and spirits of evil come over people. Hey, Amaris. Facts, Bryce. Bryce says, like in 1 Samuel, an evil spirit came over King Saul when he heard about David and how God had anointed David's life to win 10 times more battles than him. Facts, Bryce. The finest TB says they work even harder when they see that you're not reacting and not giving them the time of day. Yes. Because like I said, y'all, this is all spiritual, right? So we'll be looking at people as other human beings, or we'll be looking at people like, I think that we also tend, because of who we are, we tend to see that in others. Like, because we have a good heart, we want to see the good heart in them, right? Because we walk in purity, we see the purity in them. Because we walk in our truth, we think that these people are honest, right? And so that's what happens, is that when we see these people and we assume that about them, they tend to show us otherwise, right? And then because it's hard for us to accept it until we start to understand that it's spiritual, right? Because when we stop identifying people with like just their human flesh meat vessel, their meat suit, right? And we start to look within and whatever spirits they could be inhabiting, then we are allowed to kind of, it helps us be able to detach from people. Because a lot of times we'll have attachment to people because they're our mother, they're our grandmother, they're our cousin, they're our best friend, they're our sister, they're our whoever the fuck, they're co-workers that we've been working with for 12 years, whatever the fucking situation is. But that's what keeps us from being blinded by their truth, which is they may have attachments that are not of the Most High, that draw them to be lustful, that draw them to be envious, draw them to want to cause havoc in other people's lives and stuff like that. And so when we check the behaviors, right? We start checking the behaviors. We start reading the energy of situations. Then we won't be so bamboozled and we won't have our blinders on. We'll be able to see like, oh shit, like the behavior is exhibiting something different from like the words that they're expressing, like whatever they're saying, because words are spells, right? That's what people don't realize, is that words are spells. So when people can tell you something, but if we don't know their ulterior motive, we don't know their intention, then it really doesn't matter what the fuck they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, the words don't mean shit. Is how does it feel to me when they're saying it? You see what I'm saying? Hey, get it, Zaza. Thank you so much for joining the live, love. Bryce Grimes says, yeah, and I don't like to antagonize the evil in people. Revenge is God's. I don't want no smoke, but you're also not going to walk over me. Big facts, Bryce, right? It's not about antagonizing them, but it's also about standing in your truth. And if you ever have to be faced with it, right? I'm not laying down. Bitch, I'm going to face you right in the motherfucking eyes because I know, like you said, the eyes is the windows of the soul. And so if I got to do a stare down and let that demon in that motherfucker know that, baby, God in me is more powerful than the demon in you. You see what I'm saying? So if you got to have a stand down, sometimes it is what it motherfucking is. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, a lot of times people, you know, they get intimidated by her because that's why it's like the fear. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you have the faith of God and you know that God is moving through you, you don't fear. You don't fear these things, right? It's like it allows you to have this level of confidence to where demons flee. You see what I'm saying? The demons are gonna flee because it's like, bitch, the light in me is more powerful than the demon in you, baby. I'm sorry. So it's like, but like I said, we just got to get into this space where we understand being very present, being very observant, allowing people to show you who they are and not being moved by their words, but being moved by the energy of what is there, right? And, you know, being observant enough to be able to peep that just because a motherfucker say A, B, C, D, F, and G, if it ain't resonating with me and my spirit, then, you know, I need to take heed to that, right? Because people who are narcissists, they know, they're like, you know, they know how to get you to fall in love with them. They know how to make you feel like they're good people. They know how to make you feel like, oh my gosh, like this person is my soulmate. Like we're right? And so there's other things that we have to take into consideration these days, right? And like I said, but it's also hard for us to be able to see things in others if we don't have enough groundedness, enough peace within ourselves. If we don't know ourselves well enough, then it's easy to project our own traumas and our own demons on the others. Because sometimes we got our own demons that we got to heal and detach from. Like we have like these negative bad habits and different things that we tie into that we have identified with. We don't realize that that's a spirit, you know what I'm saying, drawing us to that. So it's like until we start to be real with ourselves and say, there's things that I need to heal within me too. You see what I'm saying? I'm not here to just project and point the finger and act like we all perfect and shit, because we're not. We all got our own shit that we got to deal with. But if we're somebody that's constantly working on self, constantly working to move, to grow, you know what I'm saying, to become better within our lives, then that's when, you know what I'm saying, God lays the foundation for us and then starts to align people that are in more in alignment with us, right? But it's like when you are of the God and divine light and you have that pure spirit, sometimes it is our purpose to have to come face to face with these type of people, because we have to show, it's like we have to be that example of what they think doesn't exist so they can know God is real. You know what I mean? Sometimes we'll be that example of to let people know that, wow, God is real. God is, you know, that there are still pure people in the world. There are still people that don't have ulterior motives in the world. There are still people that, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes that's the reason, like sometimes you're meant to be dishing karma to a motherfucker, because like I said, if you're not somebody who's going to engage in their wrongdoings, then they're creating karma for themselves, but you're not then dishing out karma as well by being vengeful, because you would like Bryce was saying, right? Revenge is God's. That's big facts. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're here to be vengeful and everything, because that's what dishes them their karma. When they try to come and do fucked up shit to you and you respond in the most highest way, right? Then they get that karma, right? But it's like when they're faced with other people who has demons in them, right? You guys are both creating karma. So it's like just as much as they're getting their karma, so are you, because you're perpetuating that same drama that they're trying. That's why they like to fuck with people of the light, because they want to dim your light, and they do it. And that's another form that they dim your light, is to try to intentionally create karma for you. And it's like, even though you feel justified because you feel like these people are trying me. These people are like blatantly trying to get me to do. They really was, coming for me, right? I didn't ask for you to come for me. You know what I'm saying? So now you feel like they deserve for you to be vengeful. But it's like they say, two wrongs don't make it right. So it's like I'm not going to respond to the things the same way that they did me. Like that's not allowing you to get your justice, right? You get in the way of your justice when you meet those people on the same level, right? That's them dimming your light. That's them bringing your frequency down to their level. And now they're creating karma for you in your life. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reality of of things and how people are attempting to destiny swap, siphon your energy, right? They're looking to influence you to be more demonic, influence you to be of more lower vibration, right? Because then they're like, okay, if I get this person to get off their frequency, they're not going to be able to receive what God got for them because they're not on the same. We talk about manifestation and how manifestations, you have to exist on the frequency in what you wish to have desire within your life. So if they bring you out of that frequency, you're missing it. You're missing your mark because it's like you done got off your throne to go mess with the peasants. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Glenn Williams 666, thank you so much for joining the live, love. So yeah, that's where we're at with it. We're not allowing peasants to take us off of our thrones. You see what I'm saying? Grand afternoon. Thank you so much for being here and joining the live. Yes, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We have to not allow our light to be dimmed. And when we recognize that there are people who are attempting to dim our light, we recognize it for what it is and we stop trying to pour so much into them to try to get them to change, right? That was another thing we always used to do. Like a narcissist will be quick to act like they want to change their life around because they'll ghost you and then come back into your life 2-3 months later. And then they acting like they're profound and they've changed their lives and they want to be better for you now, right? And you'll continue to accept it because you have high hopes for people. You understand that everybody has struggles in their life. They have traumas. They go through things. They want to live. We understand that nobody's perfect. We understand that we even came through our own traumas. We came through our own things and we was able to elevate and overcome those things. So we give them that window of opportunity to show that, okay, you said you changed. I want you. I wish and want that for you. So of course, I'm going to encourage that or whatever. Okay, let's round 2. Let's see if we can be, and then they just do the same shit over and over again, right? So that's the reality of it. It's like we want to see the best in others, but we have to recognize that it's not our responsibility to heal everybody. You know what I'm saying? For people who really want to be healed, right? That when you're standing on your purpose and your platform and you're a healer, like I look at myself as a healer. I'm here with my platform and you guys are coming to me and I feel like I'm doing my due diligence as God's purpose for me to give you guys healing wisdom. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's healing you, right? That's my purpose, right? But it ain't everybody's purpose to heal a person, right? So you have to ask yourself, is like, what my purpose is if this ain't aligned with my purpose, then it's not my responsibility to heal you, especially if you're you know what I'm saying, you're being deceptive anyway. It don't seem like you really want to be healed because you're taking the same action, right? Let actions and energy take the lead in the way that people express themselves, and you'll be able to see the truth about them. If they're really trying to heal, if they're really trying to grow, if they really love you, if they really want to be with you, or if do they really just want to they want to have a spiritual soul tie to you to siphon your energy, right? Because a lot of times what people don't realize, energy is, I talk about energy and how energy is currency, right? And people will want to draw and take your energy but not pour back into you, right? And so that's a thing that you got to pay attention to, is people who, it's like they want to siphon your energy, but then when it comes time for that person to pour back into you, and you're not getting that, it's not reciprocal, right? That's energy siphoning, because it's like they're draining you of all your love, all of your kindness, all of your generosity and things like that. But it's like they don't want to pour back into you energetically, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like at the end of the day, then now you're drained, and like I can tell you, man, like for example, the last narcissistic relationship I was in, when I met this person, they were overweight. They had a cracked teeth, was all brown, fucked up, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like this person was a friend of mine, so don't get me wrong. Like normally I don't even date motherfuckers of that caliber. Like I have high standards, but this was somebody that I went to school with, somebody that I looked at as my friend, and it just so happened that it turned into something more. It wasn't a plan for me to go dating this person, you know what I'm saying? But like as I got with them, you know, I encouraged them to fast with me. I encouraged them to practice healthy habits with me. And so they did that. And like I said, narcissists will do things in the beginning because they're mirroring you. Narcissists will mirror you in the beginning so you can feel like, oh my gosh, this is my soul person, like this is my person. You know, they will mirror you to act as if you guys are meant to be together. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the way that they reel you in. So at the end of the day, that's how it was. Like, and as we got together, like this person started to talk down on me, like, oh, they didn't like the way that I dressed. They didn't like the way that, you know, I'm always on the internet, things like that. Even though I had a platform then as well. I was, you know, promoting my healing business and things like that. It wasn't like I was just on the internet. I don't even be on the internet like that entertaining folks. Like I be on the internet for my purpose, and that's it. You see what I'm saying? But it was like they were projecting onto me, and next thing you know, I'm over here feeling, you know, like I'm feeling my light be dimmed, but I'm seeing this person like, now this person getting muscles and they looking good, and they're getting, you know what I'm saying, they glowing. You know what I'm saying? Like this person sucked up all my energy because I was steady pouring into them. You see what I'm saying? But meanwhile, they're trying to demean me, take away my confidence, make me feel less than, and things like that. So the reality is you will physically feel that in your energy as well, where you feel like you can't even be your true self no more because you trying to cater to making them feel good about themselves and things like that. And that's another thing too. A person that's insecure, every time you with them and they want to, like, they talk down about themselves and stuff like that, that is a clear indicator that is a person that is not for you. Because if you can't be with somebody who's confident in themselves, baby, they're going to be envious about your confidence. Okay. So keep that in mind too, because I noticed a lot of that about narcissists. They don't really truly love themselves for real. You see what I'm saying? So you'll notice like little things when they start talking down on themselves, you know, how they look and things like that. It's like, okay, but that shit don't matter because it's about your soul and your essence of who you are that's attractive. I done been with plenty of ugly motherfuckers, okay? But their confidence, like, they was fine to me, okay? Because of their energy, right? So it's just like people that don't understand this, that's another red flag. You see what I'm saying? Bryce Grimes says, it's always said that leaders have to take responsibility for failures, even if it's not their fault. I totally agree with that. You hold that responsibility, right? The same goes for tit for tat. The only way to end the cycle is to take ownership of why they're attacking you. Whether it be you should have left, you know this person ain't shit, or you should have never gave them a chance. That way you can end the back and forth. Big fact. Often people in relationships try to heal the other person. We can't open people's eyes. We can get people to realize the good thing they have. If they don't know in the beginning, when you show them 99% of the time, we can get people to realize the good thing they have. If they don't know in the beginning, when you show them 99% of the time, they will never know. Period. Point blank. Period, Bryce. Often it's women. Men never say, and then she will realize I'm the one. A man will never think like that, and I can't understand why women think that will work with us. Yes, I love confident women, bold women. Nothing more attractive than a bold woman. Hey, NBC Trip and Vonso 438. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. Hey, EUC Tilt My Crown. Thank y'all so much for joining the live. Yes, Bryce. And I tend to, I feel like, yes, a lot of times when we say what men will do and what women will do, I do feel like it's more common for a woman to say it than a man, right? It is more common for a woman to say it because it's like women are more nurturing, they're more accepting, they're more like they will allow things to happen and be more forgiving in a situation. So they'll give that 9 times out of 10 a woman is going to be more forgiving. So they will be in a space where they're like, they gonna realize, like, I think what you're saying is when they be like, they're gonna realize that I'm the one because because a lot of times too it's reverse psychology, because there's a lot of shit out here, like a lot of memes and stuff where a lot of men will marry a woman or be with a woman because they were with them when they was down bad and they stuck with them through all the trauma, all the bullshit, right? 9 times out of 10, that's a narcissistic relationship where they was siphoning that woman's energy the whole life, and now you feel like, well, shit, I owe you marriage because, but that woman's still getting her energy siphoned, and she feel like she getting something out of being with somebody after they done dogged her the fuck out and drained her whole life for her. She just feel like, well, damn, I done put so much time into you. Shit, yeah, you better marry me. But that's the Matrix way of thinking. Why people think marriage is some sort of fucking badge to wear. Bitch, I'd be damned if I think just because I'm married that means something when I'm married to a motherfucking demon. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I never cared about, because for some reason people think that if they're married, they've made some level of success or some shit like that. And so when people have that way of thinking, they say shit like this, you know what I'm saying? And, at the end of the day, it's just a Matrix way of thinking, right? Bryce Grimes says, that was supposed to be, can't get people to realize I'm the one. Can't get people to realize I'm the one. Yeah, right. Exactly, Bryce. I feel you. You should never have to get somebody to realize that you're the one. Like you said, if you can't see it, and that's what I generally say that too. It's like, if I got to do too much convincing you that I'm the one, you not the one. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people that I know who are married, when they seen a person, it was, like I said, it's a spiritual thing. So you feel energetically, you feel the connection on a spiritual level that that's your person. And so you willing to take those steps, right? Because you feel like, oh, this is the one, right? So I totally get what you're saying, Bryce. Like, yeah, like you should never feel like you got to convince somebody that you're the one, because people should be able to see. But at the same time, because of narcissism, right? I think this narcissist aspect is what people feel like that they have to go this route. They have to do some convincing. They have to do this and do that because narcissists exist. And because there's so much manipulation, people are not out here presenting themselves as their authentic selves. So in this, I think that term was created because of this narcissistic realm of existence where people are feeling like they gotta go out and be it's an interview, you know what I'm saying, and because you're trying to present yourself as, I'm this wonderful woman and da-da-da-da-da. But if somebody can't see that within you, right, by the energy, right, we talk about the energy, the actions, the behaviors, all of these things, right, when we talk about the sixth sense, right, that's such an important aspect to add in, because that's the only thing that's really going to show you on a spiritual level, right? So that's such an important thing, and when we start reading the energy of things, we'll get out of these matrix ways of thinking about stuff, and we'll stop getting caught up, around people that don't really mean us any good. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know, y'all. I'm pretty much done with my little rant. If y'all had anything to add or anything else, we can elaborate, but I feel my energy getting kind of drained. But I feel like, when my initial, point was being okay. Be okay with being the villain in people's story, right? Because what that does is allows you not to care or have concern of people's and how they want to narrate a story, because you know your truth. And as long as you stand in your truth, right, other people's narratives is not going to play on your empathy. It's not going to play on how you feel about yourself. It's not going to play on your confidence. It's not going to play on, because like, we can be affected by what we think people believe. We can be affected by the fact that I can't believe you even fed into the shit that they was telling you, right? And sometimes it can make you look at other people and make you look at people and be like, but all it does is it just shows you even more who really supports you. Because if people be around you and experience you and know you, who you really are, the fact that they even was able to believe in some bullshit that somebody else made up without coming to check with you and be like, baby, I never even felt that way. Like, from my experience with you, it's hard to believe. You know what I'm saying? What happened? Like, you know, for them to not come and ask you your side of the story or anything, and to just feed into some lies, you know, that's just allowing you to see other people clearly too. And I was so glad I was able to clean the slate of motherfuckers, because I swear I was dealing with so many people, and I like wore my heart on my sleeve. I would tell people my whole life story because I was wanting to be understood. I wanted people to understand me of why I am, how I am, who I am, right? But I would always be faced that no matter how much depth I would go into my story, how much depth I would go to try to get people to understand the reason why I responded this way, the reason why I move like this now, there were still going to be people that wanted to misunderstand me, misunderstand my intentions and things like that. So it got to this point where I stopped giving a fuck, because it's like, why should I care about how you perceive me when you're not even living your life right? When you ain't moving, you know what I'm saying? And when you got your nose all frowned up at me, and you can't even resonate with my spirit, my heart, the purity of how I decided that I was moving for this reason or that reason, and these people could not even relate or let their mind even be open enough to see my standpoint, that lets you know these people ain't for me, right? So then you are able to remove, because like people that not for you, they're monitoring spirits, right? Because like I said, spirits can activate into other people. So it's like, you got people who don't even fuck with you like that around you, or you got people that don't even resonate with you like that around you. You're allowing that people to be a monitoring spirit to the enemy. You see what I'm saying? They allow demons to manifest within them, and then they find ways to cause more confusion in your destiny, in your purpose, because now you got people reinforcing confusion, reinforcing your creating lack of confidence within you, whatever the fuck it is, right? And now you're creating self-doubt within yourself. You see what I'm saying? Bryce Grimes says that was supposed to be, or no, he said, yes, you spoke on a lot today. Your wisdom is appreciated. Most definitely, Bryce Grimes, and I appreciate your presence here too, because you give a lot of wisdom as well. Bryce Grimes says, man, I resonate with everything about you, Santi. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. And that's important, right? Like I said, like minds, right? When we can come and we can speak, and we can add on to the wisdom. That's what it's about. It's about building on to the wisdom and being able to, like I said, meeting of the minds, right? Your experience, something you experienced, I may have never experienced that, right? So the fact that you can come and bring a level of experience to this live, and we can convey and go back and forth, now we just made ourselves more wise because we're adding on to the understanding. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Josh Jackson Golf, thank you so much for joining the live. Royale Lifestyle says, agreed. May you continue to share. It's appreciated. Big facts. I will never stop sharing. I know I kind of took a moment off the live. You know what I'm saying? I've been really busy, but I've been trying to make it a point to get back on here because I really love this one-on-one interaction with y'all. And I appreciate you coming to vibe with me and show me so much love. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to build a community of people of like mind, because people's minds be so closed. And it's not always, it just reaffirms that people, like a lot of times we out here and we feeling alone in the world, but we're not. It's just we're rare. We're rare people. So when we can get together and we can reinforce with each other that, yeah, we're not alone. Like, we out here and we really out here, we exist, right? And that there's somebody else that can reinforce and validate my truth, even though we shouldn't be looking for validation outside of ourselves. But it's good to get it, even when we're not looking for it. You see what I'm saying? Because it's confirmation for us. And we need that sometimes to make sure that, so we can feel like, okay, yes, I am on the right path. A lot of us will get synchronicities and confirmations to let us know that we are making the right decisions about, actions that we're supposed to be taking, or make sure that we're taking the right direction in our destiny and our path. So all of that shit makes a difference. You see what I'm saying? Dwindle Robinson says, iron sharpens iron, big facts. Bryce Grimes says, nah, I'm not talking about the wisdom. I'm talking about you. Man, bye, Bryce. Get out of here, bruh. Bryce says, but that too, of course. I cannot with you. Royale Lifestyle LLC says, yes, I'm not alone. Royale Lifestyle LLC says, we can affirm each other as a collective. Facts. That's what I'm here for. And I appreciate y'all coming on here and vibing with me. And on that note, I'm going to send y'all so much peace and love. Okay? And I'm going to catch y'all on the next live. All right? Mwah and mwah. See y'all next time.